Libya's largest oil field has fallen to forces based in the east of the country, loyal to the commander of the National Army, Khalifa Haftar. That's after clashes with the rival UN-backed government in the capital, Tripoli. 5 people were killed in the violence, according to reports. In January, Haftar's forces launched an offensive in an attempt to secure areas rich in natural resources. The freshly recaptured El Sharara oil field suspended production in December when it was taken over by protesters and local tribesmen demanding better pay and funds for development. Well, El Sharara can produce well over 250,000 barrels per day, and a halt in production comes at an estimated cost of around $30 million every 24 hours for Libya. The North African country is a member of the energy cartel OPEC, but has been struggling to boost oil production since 2011, when a Western-backed uprising overthrew then-leader Muammar Gaddafi. Since that time, the country has been divided between those two rival governments. We mentioned the UN-backed one sitting in Tripoli on the northern coastline and the other located in the east. Let's go live now to Gerald Horne, an author and historian with expertise on African-American studies. Good to have your company once more, sir. Just how damaging is the capture of the El Sharara oil field to the Tripoli government?
It's a very important development, but as your lead-in comment suggested, this is the culmination of turmoil introduced into North Africa by the ill-advised United States and NATO bombing campaign of the spring of 2011 that ousted Muammar Gaddafi. I noticed that your previous segment talked about a so-called Venezuela-type solution in Nigeria. Well, I think it might be better to speak of a so-called Libya-type solution in Venezuela that then is exported to Nigeria. That is to say that it's not coincidental that all of these countries we're talking about are major oil-producing countries. It's well known that the oil and energy interests exert quite significant influence in Washington. Mr. Trump's first Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, was the chief executive officer of ExxonMobil, the oil giant. And keep in mind as well that part of the conflict with Iran, as we speak, concerns Iran's control of energy. And I think it's fair to say that the conflict with Moscow, as we speak, also involves Moscow's role as an oil and natural gas exporter, particularly to Germany. So until we reduce the interests of energy interests in Washington, D.C., I'm afraid to say that other Libya-type quagmires are in the offing.
What does the development mean for Libya's energy sector in general, and therefore for consumers?
Well, it's quite striking that despite all of the turmoil in the energy market, a barrel of oil is still only about $65 a barrel. And even if Libya is forced to withdraw its energy from the international market, it's probably likely that that price of $65 a barrel will not fall or will not rise. So because of the turmoil in Libya introduced in 2011, Libya's role has shrunk as a major influencer of oil and energy prices generally.
The fluctuations also not good internally for those in charge of the energy sector. The head of Libya's National Oil Corporation has called for the conflict over oil to come to an end. Do you see that happening with the two rival governments in Libya clearly still battling for control?
I'm afraid not. Keep in mind that as we speak, there have been disturbing reports of French jets bombing certain forces in Libya. The conflict that is now unfolding between Rome and Paris, with a deterioration of relations not seen since 1940, when Mussolini invaded France, is directly connected to the turmoil in Libya and how Libya has become an exit point for migrants from Africa crossing the Mediterranean into Italy. And Italy is charged that France has not been forthcoming in accepting these migrants, and that has complicated relations between Rome and Paris. So all in all, I think it's fair to say that that 2011 invasion and overthrow of the government in Libya has been a monumental catastrophe and disaster.
OK, we do need to point out that we cannot confirm those attacks by the French jets in Libya. But we do thank you very much for your take. Always good, always learn as well from Gerald Horne, author and historian. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.